Hi guys, this video is about how to have the best attitude and characteristics, in my opinion, in order to be a successful notary signing agent. I'm Alexandra, owner of Petaluma Notary here in the Bay Area, California, and I have been a full-time notary signing agent for the past several years. I really love it, but I am also the first person to say that this job is definitely not for everyone. Mainly because it requires you to be constantly shifting gears, multitasking, and having an adaptive personality. So it can get exhausting really quickly if you do not have a set routine to follow to help navigate you through this. So if you just became a notary signing agent or you are looking to become one, here are, in my experience, the best attributes that I recommend in order to do this job successfully and effectively full-time. So most importantly, you need to know the documents. This is going to be 80% of your job as a notary signing agent. It's helpful to have real estate experience, but that is not necessary. All you need to know is how to read and how to be able to interpret what those documents say and what they mean. So if you are not familiar with these documents, my suggestion is to print out every type of signing. Seller's docs, buyer's docs, refinances, HELOCs, reverse mortgages if you're interested in doing those types of signings, and act like you're the signer. Act like it is your money on the line in this transaction, and go through and actually read every single word of those documents. And I know that sounds like a lot, and it is, but it will help you so much in the long run. If you just go through these documents a couple of times in depth, it will serve you so much better. And then you will have the perspective of the signer. So you will know how to better cater to that signing. This job is more than reading the title of a document and presenting it in front of somebody to sign. You actually need to know what it means in order to have the signing get signed in a effective and timely manner. So if you think this job is you just being a courier, showing up with a stack of documents, your notary stamp, and some pens, you are wrong. It would be really helpful to have a want to learn. And who knows? You might end up being interested and motivated to get into some aspect of real estate. So my suggestion is to stay open, willing to learn, and actually care about the documents you are presenting to people. Professional attire and demeanor. So I cannot stress to you guys how important it is in how you present yourself. When you are dressed business professional, which is really what this role requires you to do, you are going to feel more confident. It is going to inspire confidence in other people. They're going to trust that you know what you're doing more. They're going to waste your time less. When you show up dressed like you're all about business, because you are, they are also going to want to get right down to business. When you walk into escrow offices, you are setting that tone of, hey, I'm here to work. This is a professional environment. You are wanting to show people you take yourself seriously. They are going to be more respectful. It shows them that you are respecting the gravity of this transaction. So I'm not saying you have to spend a lot of money on clothes. I don't. I have this blouse, which is sleeveless, long sleeve in every color, several suit jackets, several pairs of slacks and skirts, and I treat it like a uniform. This is the uniform for the job that I do. And I don't even have to think about it. I'm not thinking about, wearing a cute outfit. It's less about that. And I suggest more about dressing modestly. Ladies, you do not want to be attracting unwanted attention and advances when you're in a stranger's home. At the very least, it's going to waste time. People are going to be less likely to small talk with you when you show up ready to go. They're going to be like, oh, this person's about their business. They probably are a busy working professional that has other clients to attend to. And that's exactly right. You do. You don't have time for anything other than doing your job to the best of your ability and treating it as what it is, which is a serious representation of legal documents and legal entities. Having a positive attitude and can-do mindset is essential in doing this job successfully. Remember, you always want to be as accommodating as possible within reason, right? You're never putting yourself in harm's way or putting yourself in a physically uncomfortable situation, but you really want to be balancing an assertive attitude that is there to direct and guide with also being friendly and kind. Remember to have patience, especially with signers who need to move at a slower pace. You are not there to rush people through the signing. Never do that. That is not the reputation that you want in this business. If you are somebody who gets stressed, overwhelmed, or frustrated easily, this is not the job for you. You don't need to be a social person. I'm not. I'm naturally introverted. So this is something that, forces me to be a people person, but there's a way to go about doing that in a way that allows you to provide good service and also get the job done in the most effective manner. You really do not want to engage in drama or any kind of frustrated energy. Sometimes signers will complain to you about the other people involved in their transaction and maybe vice versa. Take note of it, but don't contribute to gossiping. That is, you don't have time for that. That's not what's making you money, and you don't want to make any problems worse. Just think of a way to address the situation and say, I'm sorry to hear that, and keep it moving. You're going to be dealing with so many different types of personalities, from people who are super bossy to people who are clueless and everything in between. Signing locations that are messy and smell bad to multi-million-dollar estates. And it is your job as a consummate business professional, again, if you want to do this job the best and garner the best reputation, to be cordial, courteous, but also remember, no one should be tolerating rudeness. I certainly do not. Luckily, I do not have to deal with that very often, but the times that I do, I have learned how to respond in a manner that allows the person who is the one with the attitude to realize that they're the ones being the problem. I just simply, somebody's complaining, etc. I just say, okay, well, what do we need to do in order to address this? What would you like me to do in order to accommodate that situation? And you'll find in this job and in life in general, if you provide a reasonable accommodation to whatever the issue is, there's not going to be an issue. You're not getting paid to complain, right? If that was the case, we'd be getting paid a lot more than we do, or we should, right? So remember that you want to have an optimistic attitude. It will be a better experience for you and everybody else involved. There are times that title companies call me in to work with some of their most difficult clients because they know that I am all about business. I walk in there with a very business-minded mentality while also being friendly. I just don't allow any room for anything other than that. I am there to get the job done and make sure that what the signers are telling me matches what's in the documents and that they're understanding what they're signing. That's all. That's all it needs to be. I hope that this was helpful. Problem solving. This is a necessary skill you need to have for this job. You are going to need to know who to contact to answer any questions your signers might have that are specific to their transaction that you cannot answer, that you should not be answering for them. So you're going to need to know if you're contacting title or the lender, or if you have to go through a signing service, but you really need to be able to answer people's questions immediately. Oftentimes, even though signers have the right to review their documents before signing, most of them don't know that. And even if they do get sent their documents ahead of time, a lot of people do not go over them. So the first time that they're usually seeing a lot of these documents is when you're sitting before them. So you're going to need to be able to get questions answered on the spot. Also, you're going to need to be able to be accommodating to the different needs that people might have. So instead of making a problem worse, for example, when people are splitting up or getting a divorce, and at the last minute, the signers decide, okay, well, we can't even stand being in the same room with one another. One of us is going to have to sign ahead of time, and then you're going to have to meet another one at a different location. Instead of making that a big deal, in my experience and in my opinion, the best answer to that issue is just to say, okay, no problem. Who's signing first and where? Let's get this done. And then it ends up being a split signing. So you do also need to be compensated additional for that because you are accommodating. So remember, you want to make sure that you're being fair to yourself. But again, instead of lamenting that this is the issue, just get in problem solver mode. And if a signing service or a title company calls you and says, okay, well, we need to, do this, or there's an additional document, no problem. Okay. And you want to be accommodating. People will remember if you do have the mindset of being a problem solver rather than somebody who's going to make a problem worse. And again, that gets you closer to the top of the list of the go-to notary for companies to work with. Setting expectations. So remember, the more prepared your signers are, the faster that signing is going to go. And oftentimes the representatives in the transaction, from escrow officers, lenders, real estate agents, they haven't actually prepared signers for this signing, so it can fall to you. What I do after I confirm my appointments on the phone with my signers, I will text them my virtual contact information that has my name, my business name, my licensing info, and a small picture of me so they know who to expect. As a matter of fact, now I actually text them a link to my notary introductory YouTube video that's almost 2 minutes long. It's very brief. It goes over what the signing is going to be and mentions if they're in a trust to please have their trust information. If they're expecting a wire from their title company, to please have their bank information. And that way, while I'm in that signing location, I am not waiting for signers to locate their trust docs or log in and find their banking information. They're gonna already have that ready so that when I get there, we can get right down to business. Also, make sure in your signing platform profiles, you are being just very specific as to what you do, because you also wanna make sure that signing companies and title offices, law firms, etc., all the people who want to work with you also know exactly what to expect, what areas you cover, etc. Organization. This is key in having timely signings. You want to know where all of your supplies are located pretty much at all times. And remember, wherever you and your supplies are is where your office is. You are a mobile office. So your office is going to be FedEx, your car, signing locations, you name it. Basically, you pull over on the side of the road and that's it. You are your own complete office and you are ready to go, where you should be. So when I go to my signings, people will actually compliment me on how organized I am. And I think to myself, oh gosh, if you knew me outside of work, you definitely wouldn't think that. But this job necessitates you to be organized. Everything should have a home. You don't want to be searching your bag for keys after leaving a night signing, looking to get to your car. Your keys should always go in a certain place, your phone, etc. I have a pencil box that stores all of my pens, stamps, Post-its, sticky tabs, everything. So when I get to a signing, docs on the table, my pencil box, my notary journal, and I am ready to go. Everything is just in its space, and I am never hunting for anything or looking, disheveled, like I don't know what I'm doing. Remember, that is going to waste time and it's going to waste money. You want to be as efficient as possible. Time management. So this is one of the hardest parts of the job, because if you're doing this full time and you're doing back-to-back signings, it's not always possible to pad time but when you can, you should. So if you're setting that expectation for people and saying, look, it's going to be a 30-minute signing, you should be leaving longer than that. And for reverse mortgages, when I tell people an hour, really I'm leaving, up to 2 hours, because I know that can be a much slower process. And you should not ever feel like you need to rush somebody. Not ever. Very rarely are you going to be an instance where somebody needs to sign as quickly as possible, but even then, they still have the right to review their documents. So unless somebody has told you, look, I've already reviewed these, I know exactly what I'm signing, I need to sign and go, you should be explaining to people what they are signing. 99.9% of people will want that. When I deal with experienced signers who are in real estate, investors, etc., and they've signed 5,000 times, they still want me to explain the documents when I ask them if they want me to go over it or if they just want to sign. Most people want to know what they're signing. Again, that is their right. Never rush anybody, but remember to keep small talk to a minimum, and you'll know how best to navigate keeping people on track. You want to do it kindly. You can just remind people like, oh, hey, you're a wonderful person to talk with, but we really need to keep this rolling because I told them that, I would get these documents back to them as quickly as possible. So there's a way to navigate, being directive, but also friendly and kind. And you'll find what works for you. Just time is always of the essence if you want to be doing this effectively and getting your signings done faster and thereby saving money and getting to your next signing. Availability. So it goes without saying that the more available you are, the more signings you are going to have. I actually have a lifestyle that allows me to be working pretty much whenever I want. And that's one of the reasons why I do so many signings. If you are someone who can only accommodate super early morning signings or super late signings, obviously you're not going to be doing as many signings. Most signings occur during business hours, during banking hours, during the times that the title companies are open. So it's usually 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. That's when the most signings are done, at least where I'm located in the Bay Area, California. So even though, you might be able to accommodate signings here and there, again, I'm speaking to those of you who, like me, are doing this or looking to do this full time. And being available is super important. When you're getting orders come through from signing services, they take note of who's available from different title companies. They really want somebody that they can depend on to be available. So something to keep in mind if you want to do this job successfully full time. I'm not saying that you can't do it, part-time, etc. But again, availability is a huge part of this job. Remember that dogs and kids are a huge part of this job as well. This is my Earl, and Sedgwick is down there as well. He's a little Chihuahua pit bull that might make an appearance. I don't know. Sometimes he can be a little ornery, just like that. So remember, this is a big part of the signing. So if you are not dog or kid friendly, this is not the job for you. You're going to not be able to expect people to lock up their pets. Obviously, if it's a potential safety hazard, then yes, you can ask. But the cold hard truth of the matter is that you're going to be walking into homes where dogs are going to be greeting you, children are going to be greeting you, and all sorts of other pets, cats, etc. If you are allergic to anything, again, probably not the best job for you. And you're going to need to be able to accommodate signings with children screaming in the background. And that's just the way that it is. So keep that in mind. As a brief summary, remember that this profession is not for everyone. I talk to so many people who have told me that they've tried to be a notary signing agent and then gave up shortly after getting commissioned and doing all the steps necessary in order to get certified, getting all the supplies, etc. And then they found out that it was too fast-paced or it wasn't worth it to them, and they didn't really want to stick it out. So I'm making this video in an effort to really give people a heads up of what it entails to be a full-time signing agent and how to stay in this business long term. It is going to be a more fast-paced environment. You are going to need to be adjusting yourself to different types of companies, different types of people, different types of signing locations. You are printing documents, you are picking up documents from title companies, you are finding locations, you are driving, you're going into different areas depending on the areas you cover, you're meeting with different types of people, everybody's on a schedule. You might be scanning documents, dropping documents off at FedEx or UPS or back to the title company. You're going to be working on behalf of a lot of different companies who do things their specific way. So you need to be adjustable to the different types of instructions. And remember, as long as what people are asking you is legal to do, technically you have to do it. You are an independent contractor, but you are working on behalf of these different companies. It is a very unique profession because you are self-employed. You are your own boss, but you are also representing all of these different entities involved in order to get a transaction closed on behalf of the people who are signing for that transaction. So there are a lot of moving parts. And if you're not somebody who enjoys staying busy, it is not going to be the job for you. And again, I'm speaking to signing agents who are looking to do this full time, not people who are doing a couple signings a week or a month. Obviously, that's a much different ballgame. So remember, there is a difference between being fast and effective and then just trying to slam people through the signing process in order to do it as fast as possible. In order to be a good signing agent, that is not what you want to be doing. You don't want to have a reputation of not providing good service. Your job is literally to present documents and explain what they actually are. In time, you will become more familiar. Again, I'm constantly learning, more information. Documents are getting amended all of the time. As more lawsuits happen, there's more documentation added. In states like California, our documents are, much thicker than a lot of the other states. And you'll see when you do signings for out-of-state properties and for sellers and buyers, you'll see the difference if you're in my state as well. So this is definitely a super rewarding profession for people who have the right attitude and can adjust themselves to different types of people and situations. So I also think it's important to note that other notaries and notary signing agents are not your competition. We're actually all in this together. And because this is more of a lone wolf type of profession, I think it's really important to talk to other notaries in your area. There's definitely the forums online, there's Facebook groups, but I think it's super beneficial to maybe get together with some local notaries in your area. You never know when you're going to need a witness. Some signings require witnesses. There's not too many people we know in our personal lives who can function as witnesses for us. Sometimes the signers don't have witnesses available. Other notaries make great witnesses. And it's great to just grab coffee or, do just like a little meeting, get together and share information, about the companies that are great to work with, about the companies that are not so good, and maybe any different changes coming up, and share tips and tricks on how to do things better. Remember, you are not in this alone. There's so many of us who do this nationwide, and I really love it. I cannot imagine not doing this at this point. It's such a great fit, and it also helps me to hone my skills, as a person interacting with other people and as a business professional better. I'm definitely glad that I found this job. It really works for me. So feel free to share any information, any questions, comment below. Again, I'm a really big proponent of people helping each other. And I hope that if you decide to do this, or if you're already doing this, that this video was helpful, and feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions or if there's any way that I can help you. All right, you guys, take care.